I warned you.
Okay, Miss Governor Walz, what is a woman? Have you learned that lesson? Do you know what a woman is?
I'm the governor of Minnesota, Congressman.
Do you know what a
I'm not
woman
here
is?
to be your prop for your obsession.
So
I
if you
taught middle
can't
school your
define what a
obsession.
woman is, you certainly...
Stop scrolling. You are looking at the exact moment a sitting governor was asked to define a woman during a fraud hearing, and his reaction says everything. This isn't just a political soundbite. It's the gateway to a 34,000% spending explosion that no one can explain. Watch his face. This is where the math stops making sense.
Yes, I'm familiar with the name.
She's a Democrat, isn't she?
I wouldn't know that.
She stated publicly that she's a Democrat. She's only voted Democrat in her life. She's also stated publicly that she was retaliated against and called racist, and that her work responsibilities were diminished whenever she was highlighting fraud within your administration. Are you familiar with that?
I couldn't speak to
Why do you think she would?
Allegation.
Why do you think she would say that?
I can't speak for what
you
she
have no
would think.
idea.
I do not.
You would agree that the tone in your administration comes from you ultimately, right?
The tone is that.
The tone of how you might deal with whistleblowers.
Right, and we protect them.
Wait, it doesn't sound like you're protecting them. We heard from Representative Kristen Robbins, quote, "We have dozens of credible whistleblower reports saying the exact same thing, that people were told not to say anything because they'd be called racist or Islamophobic or it would hurt the state." Do you think it's racist or Islamophobic to highlight and try to stop fraud?
It is not, and I certainly wouldn't
It's
know.
not, but that was the message your administration was sending to multiple whistleblowers.
I can't speak to that.
You can't speak to that. You don't want to speak to that, I think.
Did you catch that specific phrasing from Brandon Gill? He's pointing out the ultimate silence tactic. When whistleblowers inside the administration tried to flag actual fraud, they weren't met with audits. They were met with accusations of being racist or Islamophobic. Think about how effective that is as a shield. If you're a mid-level state employee and you see millions of dollars vanishing, but your boss tells you that speaking up makes you a bigot, most people are going to keep their mouths shut. Walz tries to play it off as protecting people, but the testimony from those dozens of credible reports suggests a culture of fear. It's a surgical use of identity politics to protect the bottom line of a fraud ring. You can see the tension in the room because this hits a nerve that goes way beyond simple accounting errors. It's about the weaponization of social labels to keep a multi-million-dollar scheme running in the dark.
How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you
I
do
did.
any preparation
I take
for this hearing
Congress
today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor
I
in
don't.
2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay,
not.
well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time.
Look at the Minnesota math on the screen right now. We are talking about a jump from $1 million to over $340 million in just a few years. That is a 34,000% increase. Nancy Mace is doing something very smart here. She's forcing a yes or no environment on basic arithmetic. When Walz claims he prepared for the hearing, but can't remember the spending numbers for the very year he was in office, the credibility just evaporates. It's not just that the money is gone, it's the total lack of curiosity from the executive branch about where it went. How do you miss a $300 million spike in a single niche category? Usually, when numbers move like that, there are fireworks and celebrations, or red flags and sirens. Here, there was just silence. It makes you wonder if the lack of preparation is actually a calculated legal strategy to avoid perjury.
Tell the truth about the Feeding Our Future program. This program, my understanding, received $3 million the first year. Within a couple years was getting $200 million of taxpayer money. Whistleblowers raised concerns. As the chairman said, auditors raised concerns. Everybody raised concerns. March 30th, 2021, the payments are stopped. And a little over a month later, the payments are restarted. Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
Well, Chairman, we did tell you. And Feeding Our Future grew because of the pandemic. And
I didn't ask that question. I said, why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments? The payments stopped because there were concerns, obviously. You wouldn't stop the payments. Then they're restarted a month later. What was the reason for restarting the payments?
My understanding was the agency believed that the court had required them to make those payments.
And that was false, wasn't it? You repeated that. You said that, didn't you? You said that's why the reason. You said the reason you restarted is because the court ordered you to do so. Is that right?
I don't believe that is settled yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I think it is, because the court did something that I just don't. I don't know if I've ever seen it. They issued a statement saying you were wrong in what you were saying. This is from the court. It says, Feeding Our Future versus Minnesota Department of Education, correcting reports and statements by Governor Tim Walz concerning orders issued by the court.
This is the smoking gun moment from Jim Jordan. Pay attention to the timeline he's laying out. They stopped the payments because of fraud concerns, and then magically restarted them a month later. The excuse given was that a court ordered them to restart. But then Jordan drops the hammer. The court actually issued a public statement saying that was a lie. Imagine being a judge so frustrated with a governor's misinformation that you have to issue a formal correction to the public. That doesn't happen in normal administrative law. It shows a level of arrogance where the administration felt they could just blame the judicial branch for their own decision to keep the cash flowing to fraudsters. It's a circular logic of accountability where no one is actually holding the bag, and the taxpayer is the one getting squeezed.
Attorney General Ellison, is there an organized crime ring operating in Minnesota? I'll answer for you, sir. Governor Walz believes there is an active crime ring in our state. In October, the governor said, quote, "We've got an organized crime ring in Minnesota. I think it's been going on for years." Moving on, Mr. Ellison, I, along with millions of Americans, have grave concerns over your alleged relationships with Somali fraudsters who have since been charged and convicted of federal crimes. I'm sure you are aware that over 90% of the defendants charged in the Feeding Our Future fraud case are of Somali descent. In fact, you have personal knowledge of these people. There's a 54-minute audio tape of your meeting with these criminals in December of 2021. And during your meeting, they complained to you about increased scrutiny of their nonprofits, and you told them, quote, "Of course I'm here to help," end quote. It's on the internet. Anyone can listen to you say that.
Tom Emmer just brought up the 54-minute audio tape, and this is where the organized crime element gets real. We aren't just talking about bureaucratic paper shuffling anymore. We're talking about the Attorney General meeting with people who are now convicted federal criminals. When they complained about scrutiny, the response on tape was, "Of course I'm here to help." That is a chilling sentence in the context of a fraud investigation. It suggests the highest law enforcement officer in the state was acting as a concierge for the very people gaming the system. The demographic breakdown of the fraudsters is secondary to the fact that they had a direct line to the AG's office. If you have an audio recording of that, the "we didn't know" defense is officially dead in the water.
The number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children
What is the
in the
total
last year.
population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last week by the actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I am.
And you don't know the number of children residing in Minnesota?
I don't have the specific number. It's 5.7 million.
That's your total population.
What is your age? What is the age? 0 to 5? 0 to 19?
You have approximately 1.2 million children in Minnesota.
What
I'm not
age?
even governor of South Carolina. Our population in South Carolina is 5.5 million. We have approximately 1.1 million children under the age of 18 in my home state of South Carolina, okay? As governor, I expect you to know this information. Thank God you're not Vice President of the United States. Do you know approximately how many children in Minnesota are autistic or on the spectrum?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay. Well, if you take the CDC's roughly 1 in 36 kids are on the spectrum, we're talking about approximately 33,000 kids. In South Carolina, it's about 31,000 or so. What is, do you know what this is per child, spending-wise, in the fraud for autistic kids in Minnesota?
Again, I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell us.
Is doing Minnesota math a prop? This is math. We're talking about fraud.
Minnesota ranks at the top. Where does South Carolina rank?
We're talking about money.
Where does South Carolina children rank on healthiness?
These are my questions for you. It doesn't go the other way around unless we're debating on the debate stage. But we're not.
If you're asking questions about being governor,
I'm
it does.
asking you
When you're
questions
governor,
about being governor of Minnesota, which you can't answer. This is basic math. And you can't even answer.
I'm not
Do you
here to
even
be your
care
prop.
about kids in Minnesota?
They rank near the top
care?
in every category. My children are fed. My children are housed. My children have
getting
health
the
care.
services they need in
My
Minnesota.
children have the best schools.
No, you don't. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
This final exchange on population versus spending is the ultimate reality check. Mace is pointing out that the number of children in the state didn't triple, and the rate of autism hasn't fundamentally shifted to justify a 343-fold spending increase. When you compare the per-child spending to other states like South Carolina, the gap is astronomical. It's a masterclass in how to expose ghost services, paying for help that was never actually delivered to a single real child. Walz's defense is to point at rankings of how good the state is, but rankings don't explain where $300 million in taxpayer cash landed. This is the definition of a high-stakes standoff. The math doesn't lie, but the people behind it might. Hit the follow button to see which whistleblowers speak next.